Hello and welcome to Qsports. I am Gajaga and thank you very much for joining us. Coming up today, we are looking at the Gambia's First Division League. The quality of football, is it impressive? Somebody will be joining me in the studio later to analyze, to talk about how we play football and what sort of attractive football we play. Also, some of the advantages and disadvantages as far as the game is concerned. We'll also be looking at the Gambia in terms of ranking internationally, because the country yet again has missed out on a FIFA calendar date where international countries around the world will take part in international friendlies to help boost their ranking and also help their teams put in shape so that they can prepare for qualifiers and also tournament propers. We'll also be looking at one exciting Gambian young talent, that is Yankuba Minteh, who plays his club football for Feyenoord. He's been in scintillating form. Well, according to his coach at the team, he's talking about maybe losing Yankuba Minteh to Newcastle. He might be recalled to the team, even though on a loan spell. We'll be looking at his football, and Brikama is the go-to place when it comes to night football. Exciting brand of football and also excitement when it comes to the fans is something that we are going to look at also on Qsports today. All that and many more to come. If you're just joining us, this is Qsports and I am Gajaga, and thank you very much. Welcome along. This week we're going to start in Brikama. The Boxbar Mini Stadium is the new home of night football matches, and the excitement of football enthusiasts is something that is almost second to none. And we're talking about a football competition organized between the 24 wards in Brikama, and those 24 wards are in this competition. The matches are played at night. I went there for the game between Brikama Sanekunda and Brikama Medina, and let's bring you some highlights of it. Another night football in Brikama. This time is the Intercabulos. That's the 24 wards in Brikama today. It's going to be between Sanekunda and Brikama Medina who are going to play. The two teams came out of the dressing room and passionate supporters are applauding them all over the place. The atmosphere looks very beautiful. Under the floodlights, night games at the Brikama Boxbar Mini Stadium. This is one of them. There has to be a winner in this encounter because it's a knockout football game. Brikama, that's why it's called the theater of entertainment as far as football is concerned. An exhilarating atmosphere complemented by some beautiful football from both Brikama Sanekunda and Brikama Medina. Even with a 10 p.m. kickoff, the fans turn out in numbers to support their teams. Nighttime football matches under floodlights is new to this stadium, but the football-loving communities of Brikama have taken it with enthusiasm. Aliu Gay Bojang says his excitement. I am here first to sell ginger juice for my wife, but not only that, I am here to watch football. This competition is organized to strengthen unity amongst communities. It is because of this tournament that I have come to know people living in my neighborhood. The tournament is organized by the Brikama Sports Committee, and its Secretary General Ansumana Jammeh says he is not surprised by the good turnout because Brikama is a football-loving town.
Brikama Boxbar, fondly called the Theater of Entertainment, is a community, is a place where people do come to watch, games that are even played between kids. So this is not a surprise, knowing the community of Brikama and how these people love football and this game. So for me and for a lot of people, even though the crowd that we pull out eventually turn out to be more amazing, but to me and a lot of people, it's definitely not a surprise.
The Gambia Football Federation erected the initial floodlights, but they were not bright enough for night games. So the Brikama Sports Committee added extra floodlights to make conditions at least playable, says Camara.
When the field expansion was being done by the Gambia Football Federation, cables around some of the that connected to some of the poles, especially this one and the other one over there. Actually, they got defaulted. We had to hire somebody to fix some of those things. So after that, we realized that we definitely would need to adjust some lights. We decided to buy 4, even though it's not enough, but it's playable. This is why we are here today. We definitely commend the Gambia Football Federation, but again, it's definitely the effort of Brikama Sports Committee that football at night is back in Brikama.
In an end-to-end trailing finale, Brikama Sanekunda came from behind to defeat Brikama Medina 2-1. As exciting as the night football games are, more needs to be done to improve the lighting, to enable the stadium to host league games and other high-profile football matches. Night football matches in Brikama, and joining me in the studio is the Secretary General who you heard earlier, Ansumana Jammeh. I'm talking about the lighting system at the Brikama Mini Stadium. Ansumana, night football in Brikama, what an excitement. You being the Secretary General of the committee, how did you put up this together, the idea, and then what it yielded so far?
Thank you very much, Mamadou, for inviting me to your show. I'm really glad, and I'm sure that we have a lot of people from Brikama watching this show right now. Yes, it's been so much of excitement in the community and communities that also lives around Brikama. We're talking about the entire tournament. We just want to inform the viewers that Kabilo tournament, that is the inter-area tournament in Brikama, used to be that traditional football that used to happen in the olden days. Even though I used to be young at the time, but I could vividly remember.
The last one I remember was in 95.
Something like that, yes. We were really young at the time. But Brikama Sports Committee has a responsibility to foster social cohesion and also understanding amongst the people of Brikama, especially the young ones. You could hear from the guy, Aliu, saying that he met people at the park. He never knew, that he lives with. This is not just him, The main idea, the rationale behind it is because we have players in Brikama, some plays in the divisions, some had played all their career and they've never represented their communities. So this, they saw as an opportunity to go back and also give back to the people that they live with. But the excitement is really there and everybody is so happy. The committee thought it wise that because it's Ramadan and in Brikama, mostly people don't have places to go. And the only place probably that people meet during the day is at the park, So we thought that maybe if people break their fast, we could converge somewhere and, exchange some pleasantries through football and other sports. Excitingly, you come to realize that it's not just football that is played at night. Our basket players, because Brikama has a basketball team, they do their trainings at night. Our volleyball team also the same thing. So it's different sports that takes part, but because football in the Gambia, we all know how it is, attracts much, and that is why it's the one that we talk about the most. But it's really been a great thing for us recently.
When it comes to the floodlights, it's not the best of quality in terms of the brightness. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to host first division matches there. You wouldn't be able to host other high-profile football matches. But for now, community football, and you can host night matches because it's playable, like you've explained in the interview. But do you have any plans to be able to adjust the lights, maybe in consultation with the Football Federation, because they're the ones who installed the initial 4 different lights that are there, 4 different poles, and they were talking about adjusting the lighting system at some point as part of their ongoing project?
Yeah, so the Gambia Football Federation, GFF, has this project that is ongoing. We've had several meetings with them, and in fact, the lighting system was done before the field expansion. If you are very much conversant with the Brikama box bar, you will realize that the field is being expanded. And during that expansion, some of the cables, like I said in the interview, got defaulted. We've engaged them several times and they've promised to come fix it. But because we know that we definitely need to start something in Brikama, we had to hire somebody to come and do the checkup, and the guy gave us a cost, including his workmanship. and the sports committee had to work on that entirely. So after fixing the 4 lights, we came to also realize that it's not possible for people to play under that condition. So we thought it wise to add a few lights, which we did to enable the field to be playable. And that is where we are right now. But at our own level, we have our plans. Even yesterday I was talking to a couple of people. We have seen investors that are currently coming to Brikama. You know, I know this is going to be a breaking news, but this is something that's been happening recently, especially because people show interest in Brikama and they also see opportunities in Brikama. So we placed our short-term plans, and part of those short-term plans is also to adjust a couple of lights. I know the GFF would have to come with the standard lights to enable, First Division games to be played in Brikama, perhaps at nights. But we have our short-term plans, that is to bring more lights and also, of course, work on our pavilions. When you look at some of the pavilions in Brikama, they are in a situation that, you know, we definitely think we should look at. So these are part of our short-term plans, and the lightning system is key among some of those plans.
In terms of the support, how it's received by the community, we saw a lot of people attracted by the night football, they come there. But looking at it, is it because it's Ramadan and then at night, maybe after their night prayers, they have nowhere to go? It's kind of recreation for them. Do you think after Ramadan, if you stage a night football competition, people will still come out and watch games?
So I think Brikama actually has overtaken all these zones in terms of turnouts when it comes to football. When you follow GFF games in other zones, Brikama tends to pull out more crowd, even with the GFF games. So this is community football. A lot of people don't get to see their kids play, so they come to watch them. For me, like I said, you know, it's not a surprise to me because Brikama is called the theater of entertainment for a reason. And that reason, one of it is that our people so much love this game and they are so much into it. So we are still optimistic that we will have a bigger crowd after the Ramadan, because the thing is, we stage these games after the night prayers. I mean, we have a lot of people that decide to stay home to observe the night prayers than coming to the park. So when we put it after the Ramadan, we are so much optimistic that we will get a bigger crowd. Considering the fact that we have more exciting fixtures, you would tell, like, our next game immediately after the Ramadan would be Jida playing against Manduar. These are 2 big communities. You know, we saw a crowd between Misira and Kabafita, you know, which when you combine is far less than, you know, the population of Jida alone, talk less of Manduar. So we are so much optimistic that come after Ramadan, you would see better things, and then the fanfare would be there now. Because it's Ramadan, people don't come with their drums, people don't come to sing for their boys to play. Come after Ramadan, you will see something different, something bigger and better.
So, still on Brikama, you've talked about the pavilion, how you want to improve it. Certain parts are almost crumbled, others, I think when it comes to standardizing it, looking at the where you call the VIP, where people come and, you know, also pay kind of rent for seats and then sit comfortably and watch. Even that part needs to be improved as well. What plans do you have?
So we are working with somebody that is well known in the Gambia. I don't have to reveal his name here. There is a process called the Box Bar Day. So the Box Bar Day actually is going to help us raise substantial funds to start, you know, putting up our plans, especially for the VIP, but not just the VIP. We want to make it look standard, not people carrying seats from the other end and bringing it. We want to get the standard seats like you would see in other stadiums for the VIP. So that process would start immediately after the Box Bar Day program. We are just hopeful that let that be successful. That is our wish for now, and that is where our long-term plans would start. But for now, like I said, our focus is on the pavilion. That is the first pavilion that was built in Brikama, constructed in Brikama, and then the last one that was constructed before the Democracy Pavilion. We definitely are going to cover it and support it with some pillars behind, just to sustain them for the meantime while we work on a long-term plan. So what we are thinking of doing right now is to put up a 5-year plan to say this year, this is what we want to do. But our main focus for a start would be the VIP. And perhaps one of the greatest sons of Brikama would lead in that process, because we want to make him the face of the plan, especially for the pavilion. You would also realize that Brikama is very much concerned about people that have served them. This is why in our last knockout finals, we named it after the late veteran Maseku Bojang. And this current Interkabilo tournament, we named it after Suleiman Kuyate, who had helped and also coached Brikama United and guided them to some trophies while he was there. So the next thing that we want to do is, honor one of our living legends, and we want him to be the face of that process. So once we're coming out to the public, people will know that Brikama Sports Committee means business.
Let's talk about revenue generation for the Brikama Sports Committee. Recently, when the operation Clear the Road started, you had some small canteens around the Brikama football field on the outside, going towards the main garage. So they were renting every year. If you put in accumulation how much they pay together, and the committee raised substantial funds in that to be able to help run their cost, and also even help your main town team, that is Brikama United. Since that happened, now no revenue as far as that is concerned. How are you coping?
It's really very challenging and difficult for us. A lot of people that comes to Brikama, and if we have meetings, especially with GFF in terms of revenues collected in the different zones, when Brikama complains about finances, other zones would be like, no, you people are not supposed to complain because you pull the biggest crowd in terms of sports. But they also do not realize that Brikama bears the biggest burden when it comes to, issues around financing sports in this country, locally. So Brikama Sports Committee is not a football committee. Brikama Sports Committee takes charge of the basketball team that has a male team. We take care of the volleyball team that is male and female and playing at the highest level, both playing at the highest level in this country. We have 2 divisional teams, both playing first divisions. That is our female team and also our male team. Brikama has an athletic team. We have a cricket team. We also have other sports as well. This is why when you look at the composition of Brikama Sports Committee, you have a representatives of all these committees that I am, all these sports that I am talking about, including another individual that serves as the representative for other sports, because we do not want to leave any other domain behind. This is why we do what we are doing. So talking about the challenge and the difficulties we faced immediately, just after those tolls were brought down, it was really very, very tense and difficult for us. To be honest, we made an arrangement with the Brikama Area Council for them to allow us to, put stalls at that place and allow people to come rent. They don't come to collect money from those people. They see that as their responsibility to say, you go ahead and collect this money and use it. Pay your players, because that's what we do. We give allowances to our players. We do, their campaign fees. When they want to travel for games, we do that, and it all comes from us. And now that, that place is gone, we are only left mostly with one main area, that is the Nawetan. And I can tell you that shortly before the Interkabilo, it was so difficult for us. But thank God that, we came out with this initiative, and now it serves as a bail for us. And things are getting, we are able to get things together. So the money that we used to lose, we are losing from the canteens, we're now recovering it from the Interkabilo. But that's not the plan that we want. The plan that we want as a committee is to turn Brikama United teams, not just the football team, but all the teams, basket, volleyball, and other sports, into, marketable clubs where we are able to sell our players, and the process is ongoing already. So maybe God will come our way and Brikama would be attractive, and we will have people that might want to come and do their trade with us.
Well, Ansumana, I wish we could go on and on, to talk about all these things and Brikama United maybe in detail, because For the first round, your team struggled, and
Yeah.
you know, the second round they really
back
picking
on,
up, and
yeah.
hopefully maybe the team would continue to progress. But just on a final note, Brikama United, how do you see your team finishing in the season? Because first round was almost a devastation.
Yeah, I think we are on, I don't know whether I would have to say kind of a resurrection, but I am seeing our team going higher in the second round. Already the signs are there. We have seen how much, you know, they have performed recently, especially with the last 6 games, no defeat. You know, when you look at our performance in the first round, it was so horrible and everybody was on our head. And sadly for us, our fans ran away from us, you know, in that difficult moment. You come to watch our games, our fans don't come. Or today, go back to the field, you know, when Brikama United is playing, everybody takes ownership again, you know. But we would be there. We made some changes, you know, we had to hire a new technical director who also helped us to do a few adjustments in when the transfer window was open. When you go through our page,
Recently signing of players?
Signing of players, you know. So the players actually are registered since the opening, but we wanted to, you know, make it a process. How do we unveil them? You know, let's take it step by step. This is what Brikama used to lack. So we want to modernize it. We want to give it a new face. We want to bring back that, you know, we want to bring back Brikama to where it belongs, that is on top. We don't belong to the relegation spot, you know. I can fully assure you here that come next games, you will see, you know, you will see us start cooking teams in Brikama.
All right, thank you very much. That's Ansumana Jammeh, the Secretary General of the Brikama Sports Committee, and we thank you so much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the quality of football in our first division. We'll also look about Yankuba Minteh, the youngster who is performing very well at Feyenoord, and it may lead him to get back to his parent club, Newcastle United, during the preseason, where the coach, Eddie Howe, will assess him to see whether he's ready to be a Premier League material. All that will be coming on after the break.
yaa ko laajte Qcell jox la ko yokkute am na ci suñ promo bu bees bii di suñu bundle mega promo léegi mun nga dugga ci internet bi ci noo ko buggee ak num gën a yombee jëndal suñ data bundle package boo bugga te nga am ci wàññite bu màgg dialal star 303 # pour nga mun a jëfandikoo internet bi ci network bu gën a yaatu jëndal 20 megabytes data bundle léegi ci juróom-ñaari dërëm ak genn wàlla bu dul loolu nga jënda biga bundle lu dem ba 20 gigabytes waaw dégg nga ma 20 gigabytes data bundle ak suñ mega promo bundles bi mun nga jëfandikoo internet bi waxtaan ci lu yàgga ñu jokkale la saa su ne fu ne pour am ci lu leer mun nga call Qcell customer care ci 111 Qcell ñoo xaali yoon bi ñeneen toppa lii dafa ànd ak sarta yuñ tëral.
Welcome back, and thank you very much for joining us. This is Qsports, and I am Umutu Gajaga. The Gambia yet again missed out on a FIFA international window. No international friendly matches for the Gambia, and teams who are supposedly our opponents in the upcoming qualifiers for the Africa Cup of Nations and also the World Cup qualifiers in June. The likes of Ivory Coast, the likes of Kenya have all played international friendlies. They're preparing their team. But and you know, it's been quiet. It's almost like a sabbatical that the Gambia had taken. And coupled with that also, the national team coach position is still vacant. Well, the Gambia Football Federation earlier on announced that, you know, people are applying and they will do the shortlisting, and from that shortlisting, they will do a final selection, and hopefully at some point a coach would be appointed. Joining me in the studio is Coach Ahmad Cham. Coach Cham, Gambia national team not engaged in the last window. What does this mean for the national team? Because normally the teams that you compete with play international friendlies to prepare their teams for upcoming international either qualifiers or proper competitions.
Yeah, it's difficult, but the truth is, yes, we expected our national team to play at least a friendly game, because I know for sure that at some point the assistant head coach Alaji Sarr was asked to give a list of players with a number of coaches that could have gone for this camping somewhere, even if they don't play a test game, but it did not happen. I know he sent this list. This is something I know firsthand. He sent his list, and the coaches were identified to who were going to work with him. But you have to look at it in another perspective. It is not the responsibility of the Gambia Football Federation to foot the bills of the national team. And if Gambia government does not come in, for example, with the money that was needed or some of the money that is needed to make sure that the national team goes into camp, the Gambia Football Federation cannot do anything. So these are facts, these are things I know, that at some point the assistant head coach was asked to send a list of players. Coaches were identified who were supposed to work with him during this period, and he did that. I know he did that. He sent the list. He did what he was supposed to do, but it is not his will to make sure that the Gambia does not play, but it did not happen. So we just have to learn from it and make sure that in the next window, if it is not a qualifier, we are in a position to gather our players and do something, because the truth is we need to look at a player who will replace, for example, Musa Barrow, who is injured. Nobody knows when he's coming back. We need to look at our players who are not playing, week in, week out, who should come in, who should replace them. And you can only do that by gathering the players where the players can play a game and try to win matches and build a team that can compete so that we are in the next Africa Cup of Nations.
Well, Cham, does it also have to do with I'm sure you were talking about the assistant coach there, of course. So if the national team coach is not yet appointed who is going to take charge, but you have the assistant plans were on the way to have a friendly, and that didn't materialize. But still, does it also have to do with that? Not maybe the team remained vacant since they
Yeah, I don't think it had anything to do with it, because it is a process. When the coach comes, he will meet the assistant coach. The assistant coach is appointed, is a Gambian. When the coach comes, he will meet him and they will talk. So when the coach was leaving, the assistant coach also had a bank of players that they were using. The coach did not only leave with probably all the materials he had. He had to at least give some handing over notes for the assistant coach to keep. The team manager is there. The second vice president, who is responsible for technical matters, is also there. The technical and development committee is there. They must have that record of Gambian players that we will need to look at for the next AFCON, probably qualifiers or the World Cup qualifiers. But yes, the position of the head coach is vacant, but when the head coach is not there, who takes over? The assistant head coach. So the assistant head coach takes over in interim, even if it is not official. That is his job, to make sure that what the head coach was doing, he continued doing it. And I think he did that up to some point when he was asked to submit a list for players and a coaching staff. The rest is beyond him. Sometimes the rest is beyond even the Football Federation.
Yes, those are definitely facts. And talking about international friendlies, comparing it to the teams that we're supposedly to play, now the next window, if I'm not mistaken, is in June, and that's when the World Cup qualifiers kick-starts again, will resume. So the likes of Cote d'Ivoire, who we played against in the first or second round of matches, and we lost to them by 2-0, and initially it was Burundi, and we're in the same group with Kenya, we're in the same group as Seychelles, and we're in the same group as Gabon as well. So all these are countries, most of whom were involved in international friendlies. Do we say advantage to them somehow?
Yeah, advantage to them. For me, I think what we should do with the World Cup qualifiers, to be realistic with the position we are in, is to use the World Cup qualifiers as a preparation for our qualifiers for the AFCON, so that we qualify and go to Morocco. We use those matches, prepare our team, because it's going to be very difficult for the Gambian team to qualify to the World Cup with our position now, playing 2 games and losing all 2 games. It's going to be difficult. So, but if we use it to prepare our team for the next AFCON qualifiers, which very soon I know the groups will be out and everybody will know which team do you play and what position, where do you play at home, do you play away from home. All those factors will be looked into, and we try to make sure that we are in Morocco.
Well, Cham, doing an assessment, looking back at the Africa Cup of Nations, we played 3 matches and, you know, we got knocked out in the first round, lost all 3 games. Well, if you look at our group, our opponents were Senegal, Cameroon and Guinea. Well, Guinea, we had a bone to pick with them because they lost to us in the quarterfinals, that is in the last Africa Cup of Nations, in the round of 16 rather, because we played against Cameroon. So Cameroon, well, 5-time winners of the Cup of Nations. Senegal, defending champions at the time. From the AFCON to now, the team that you watch, is that team that can be improved for upcoming competitions?
That also depends on who is going to be the coach and what he thinks of the players he sees, because every coach also have a way that you want to work. The players you want to work with, the players you think can serve the purpose. And during the AFCON, I think we played in the group of death. It was a very tough group. We were in a position to play Cameroon. For me, that was our best game because we played without fear. We were free. We knew we were in a position to do something great, and the expectation was Cameroon is a better team, and we played without fear, and we almost got there. But unfortunately, I think when Ibrahim Colley scored the 3rd goal, we over-celebrated.
Yes,
and
that's
because
true.
We over-celebrated.
That's a fact. Everybody talks about that.
That went into the head of the team, and even before we were in a position to wake up, Cameroon, the own goal came from James Gomez, and then Cameroon finally scored the 4th goal, and we lost the tie. And that took Cameroon to the next stage.
Well, talking about the Gambia and our current ranking and the lack of playing for international friendlies, comparing it with other nations, we have a report about it, and let's just listen to that report. The Gambia's football ranking has dropped, according to the most recent FIFA ranking published on February 15, 2024. The Gambia is ranked 130 in the world ranking and 39th out of 53 countries in Africa. The drop in rankings came after a string of poor results. 3 defeats in the AFCON 2023 group stage, preceded by 2 defeats in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Burundi and Cote d'Ivoire. With the lack of engagement during the FIFA window, we'll further see the country's ranking dropped both globally and in the continent. The Gambia were just a whisker away from playing preliminaries for the qualifiers of the next AFCON in Morocco in 2025. The 8 lowest ranked countries play in preliminary quarters before joining the main qualifiers groups. Cote d'Ivoire, AFCON 2023 winner, who are in the same group with the Gambia for the World Cup qualifiers, defeated Uruguay 2-1 in a friendly. Kenya, another team in the group, humbled Zimbabwe 3-1 in another international friendly. The Scorpions are without a coach since Tom Sanfield resigned during the AFCON 2023 in Cote d'Ivoire. Although the vacant position of the national team has been advertised by the Gambia Football Federation, a replacement for Tom is yet to be announced. Well, we hope that replacement is announced anytime soon so that we know our position, we know what type of a coach, because us journalists, we love to talk about those kind of things to see, well, who is this coach? Where is he from? What's his CV? What has he done before? Internationally, what's his reputation? Has he ever qualified an African team maybe to a Cup of Nations or win something internationally? Those are things that we'll be looking at. And we can't wait anymore to see how it's going to sound. But now, let's talk about the Gambia's first division, the quality of football. I watch matches. Some of them looks really good. Some of them average. Some of them not good at all. Well, sometimes I even think, let's say football is 45 minutes and then you go on a break and then another 45 minutes on a break, and you have added time as well. Usually in the Gambia, 3 minutes, but sometimes now in the country, when you see some matches, because of too much time wasting, referees can go up to 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, even maybe up to 6 minutes, depending on how much time is wasted. But for some really very bad games, almost every 35 seconds, the referee blows the whistle for a foul, or a player is injured, or the ball is being kicked out of the field of play. Coach Cham, you've been in the first division for a very long time, and until recently, just a few weeks ago, you were a coach of BST Galaxy. The quality of football. At your previous team, everybody says, BST Galaxy plays one of the best football. Yeah, because Cham is the coach and they have a philosophy. They want to really showcase their talent. But in some of the games, well, it does not look that very good.
I think when you talk about BST and you talk about the football they play, the credit goes to the whole staff, the management, the patients, and everybody who comes around the team knows that there is something that this team want to achieve, and they are still on the same path. When you talk about the team itself, I think the team has some of the most exciting young players in Gambian football. Not all, but some. And these players, if they are nurtured and kept together for the next 3 years, they can torment a lot of teams in this country. And I hope that happens very soon. And I hope that some of these players are kept together so that they gain experience together and torment a lot of teams in the future. When you talk about the quality of the football, you look at the teams that are on top of the league. You talk about Real de Banjul, you talk about Team Rhino, you talk about Fortune. Real have a top management, a coach who have understudied the champions, the winner of the league last season, that is Ibrahima Jatta, who was also an experienced coach, have been with the Gambia Armed Forces for a long period, worked with a lot of coaches who were coaching at the Armed Forces when he was the assistant coach. And suddenly he decided to move on with his career, so the experience is there, the management is there, and they also have the players. So the organization is there, the team is top, it's organized, so you expect them to deliver. And they play very good football with a lot of experienced players. If you look at their defense, the goalkeeper, Lamin, won the Wafu. Yeah. You look at Makaira last year, even though he was injured, he played for Fortune. Last year he played in the second division, came back and got his place. You have James. You talk about the only young player in their defense is the right back, Mustafa Nyasi, who even had experience of playing second division with Talinding United. You also have Untiti, who played for Brikama United, who was also part of one of this under-20. So experience-wise, the team is there, especially in their defense from the goalkeepers. They also have one of their other goalkeepers called Yankuba Minteh, who played for Fortune, who won the league with Fortune when Fortune was defeating Eten Setif here 3-0 and lost 3-0 in Algeria. So that experience, that blend is there, and up front they have a lot of young players. You talk about Abdurrahman Badamasi, you talk about Hassan Kaur. These are young upcoming players, top strikers who can score the goals and who can torment any defense. So organization is there top, so you expect the team to play because the team is organized. The coach have the experience and the players are there. So you have to put in the little things, and I think that is what is keeping the team there, and they also have a target. You look at Fortune, Jane, if not one of the most experienced in the league, who have done the job as a journalist, who have played football, who have been coaching Samga, from Samga. When Samga started, he was there with the likes of Ibrahim Mane, Joe Tennis, Abu Jammeh late. They all started this activity together. Yeah, and after he took over the team, he was there, the experience is there. So went back to Fortune, took them from the second division to the first division, experience, organized team with one of the youngest presidents in Gambian football in Hassan Dur. So they have that energy to come out and do a lot of work on the pitch to make sure that they achieve. And recently they have one of the youngest with lady photographers in Sadio Balde. So the things are also getting in place. Now, so yes, this team is organized, experienced, and they have the players. Most of their players have played in the league. They are experienced players. You talk about Mustafa Jallo, who played for Real de Banjul, played for Steve Biko, played for BK Milan. He played in a lot of teams. He's now the second top scorer in the league. So he have been there, he have done it, and came back to do it again. So you look at if they have a player who had played out of the Gambia, who played in Europe, came back in Musa Kambi. So I think also for them, they also did very good scouting. Aruna, their goalkeeper for me, is one of the top goalkeepers in the league, because when we played against them, I saw the type of saves he did and some of the matches I watched. So they are putting in a lot of energy in the work, but also they have the materials they can work with to deliver the philosophy of the coach. So you look at Rhino, have been there, big game winners. They always trouble these big teams.
They did to Brikama.
They defeated Brikama United, they defeated Real de Banjul, they defeated Fortune, all these teams that are in the top, they defeated all of them. So, and they also have a coach in Yunus Abaji who believes in possession football with a lot of hard work. And when you watch their team, they are really exciting. So for me, the quality, at some point, yes, there is a lot of quality, especially when you look at the top half. When you look below, you will see that, yes, some of the teams have the players, but the players need to gain experience to do what they are expected to do. All the teams that are topping the league, one, they are organized. They have experience in some part of their teams. Some have a lot of experienced team. So the organization is key in every team, and I think all these teams on top of the league are very organized. So
that's on the positive, Cham. Now let's talk about some of the things that I see that's not pleasing watching. Who would go to a football game, and then let's say you buy your ticket, you want to watch good football, and then every 35 seconds the referee whistles because a player is down, because there is a foul, because the ball is kicked out of the field of play. You see that a lot in the first division. Yeah, aside from some of the teams that you talk about. Yes, of course, even in the bottom half, there are teams who play exciting football. But let's say in 45 minutes, you wouldn't see this for 10 or 15 minutes. The rest of it is fouls, too many fouls, and you know, that's not pleasing to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's the elite football of the country.
I agree. It's not pleasing to watch, but everybody goes into that pitch with the reason to entertain people who come and watch the game, to try to get the results, because nobody has the results in your pocket that you can give to your team. But first, you go there with the objective of people watching you should be in a position to come back and watch again, even though if you don't win the games because you don't have the results, but you want your team to perform. Now, when the referee blows the whistle, the referee just don't blow the whistle because he wants to blow the whistle, because there's an infringement. And some infringement you can let go, but not every time you have to let them go. So some teams would play with, okay, we have to stop them from playing. So every team has its own objective. We have to stop them from playing. I know when BST plays now, and most of the teams will want to stop them from playing the way they want to play football. And they will put a lot of pressure. They will try to make sure that, because I talk about it because this is something I know. They will try to put a lot of pressure on them. They will try to kick them. They will try to stop them from playing the way they want to play football, which is normal. Every coach, you watch the team that you are playing against and you try to counter
their tactic.
And if you can counter it, it might be a successful day for you. So these are things that you have to look at. But it is not the wish of the referee to blow the whistle every 35 seconds. The referees will also want to enjoy the game. Because when we played Greater Tomorrow, I can fully remember at the end of the referee said, this was a game that they were all ready to play because they know the ball is there will be a lot of movement with the ball, because both teams who want to keep the ball and pass it from one side to another. So there were no few long balls which will make the referee sprint from one side of the field to the other. So these are issues that referees will want to see. The referees want to see teams that play possession football, but teams have different objectives.
Let's say most of the recruitment for our under 20, under 17, and also under 23 players are drawn from the first and the second division. And these players get to the U20. Yes, they played in the qualifiers, sometimes qualify, get into the proper tournament, go as far as the final, even if they don't win it. Like the last under 20 AFCON, we played against Senegal, and Senegal defeated us in the final. But aside from that, they play some good, exciting football. But sometimes you see certain players, they find it difficult to control the ball and things like that. Do we sometimes get the basics wrong? Like normal Gambian football, typical Gambian footballer, play in the streets, then, you know, gets into Nawetan. Nawetan, sometimes your first year in the Nawetan, because you're exciting, because you play very well, and then some first division coaches would come in and get you. Is that type of a football trend, in terms of process, good for our football? Because some players would find themselves U20, they have trouble controlling the ball.
Okay, it's not the job of a national team coach to teach a player basics. Yes, sometimes you can do it, but it's the job of the national team coach to make sure that the philosophy of the coach is embedded into these players. Their tactic, how they want to play, how they want to attack, how they want to defend. That's the job of the national team coach. Along the way, yes, we missed some of the process. These are hard facts. From Nawetan, you straight go and play first division. Along the way, we miss some of the process, and that is something that is going gradually will affect our players at some point in their career. But if you look at teams that have that process of taking players from A, B, C, D, they find it very easy when they go into the national teams to cope without some of the basic problems. But if you pass through one of the hurdles, that is, you jump one of the hurdles without going through it, you'll always have a problem at some point.
Talking about exciting football, watching a player controls the ball, goes forward, scores goals, that's what gets the fans excited. And talking about that kind of a player is Yankuba Minteh, who plays for Feyenoord, and he's on loan from Newcastle United, and there is all likelihood that if he continues with the consistency, currently the remarkable performance, scoring goals, making assists, going forward, taking on defenders, probably he could be called by Coach Eddie Howe of Newcastle, and maybe on a preseason, and then from that preseason, if he impressed enough, and Coach Eddie Howe thinks he's a Premier League material, then he might get him onto the team. Let's get this report about Yankuba Minteh. Feyenoord head coach Arne Slot believes Newcastle United's dynamic young player, Yankuba Minteh, will have many more alternatives than extending his loan term with the Dutch club if he continues his remarkable improvement. The Gambia international's loan stint at the Rotterdam club has been a resounding success, with 8 goals and 3 assists already this season. Newcastle United's manager Eddie Howe will take a careful look at Minteh throughout pre-season before deciding whether to add him to the squad or send him out on loan again. Slot, one of Europe's most renowned coaches, after leading Feyenoord to the title ahead of Dutch giants Ajax and PSV Eindhoven, noted Minteh's extraordinary pace as one of his greatest assets. However, he indicated that he will probably be saying farewell to the 19-year-old at the end of the season. Slot said he has mostly played a lot in his native country, where very little tactics are involved. When you are fast, though, it is a huge weapon. One action and he's gone. Then you don't catch up with him. I think his choices are already getting better in the final stages. The only annoying thing for us is that if his choices get really good, he probably won't play with us anymore. Newcastle signed Minteh for an initial fee of £7 million from OB Odense in Denmark before loaning him immediately to Feyenoord. On Newcastle's fan forums, contributions are already expressing their wish to see the speedy youngster in their team next year. Yes, that's Yankuba Minteh there. We're talking about an exciting player who has the prospects to go all the way. Cham, you've watched him play. And this is a player who is making the headlines for all the good reasons. And is he the potential to be the next big thing in Gambian football?
I think he's already the big thing in Gambian football because every team needs a star, somebody who can carry the team, and I think he has shown that in our qualifiers against Congo when we came from 2 goals down, and he came off the bench and scored the 4th goal that propelled the team to score the equalizing goal. I think he's our star. Every team needs a star that has pace, that is skillful, and he can always do the danger. For me, if he continues the way he's progressing, very soon, not even next season, he can go back and play for Newcastle in the Premier League. Maybe he might not start week in, week out, but he will have these chances, opportunities to play. Just like you have Ansumana Jammeh also playing in England with Nottingham, so not county. So it's important that if he goes back with the way he's doing things, and he have gone through a good process from a football academy. He had the opportunity to go to Steve Biko, develop himself, play, and was going to Denmark, coming back, going to Denmark, and when he turned 18, finally the Danish club decided to sign him, and he started to continue his progress in Odense, and up to a period that Newcastle felt this is a player that we need to get now rather than later, and they decided to pay the money and get the player, and he's also still on a process of development.
Yes, and the process of development, Yankuba Minteh is an exciting player to watch, and we hope that he continues this progression and get maybe to Newcastle United as quickly as possible, get into the first team, and continues his development. Well, that's it for Qsports today. Thank you very much for watching. Join us next week on the same time, on the same platform, and have a lovely day. Bye.